Hey everybody, after a 3-week hiatus, Extra Time is back.
Hey pal, I've been here every week. Where have you been?
I've been in Africa watching Junior Agogo running around for Ghana, scoring some goals, but I'm back. Extra Time is next. Well, welcome back everybody. As always, I'm your host, Greg Lawless. Shep messing right next to me, and lots has happened since we've been gone. There have been trades all over the league. The Super Draft has taken place. A DP has come to DC United. But Shep, what's on top of your list going into preseason?
Well, Greg, for me, it's all about the LA Galaxy. This is year number 2 for David Beckham in Major League Soccer, and I think it's significant, it's important for the league that this team does well.
Well, they have a new coach. Ruud Gullit, the Dutch legend, has taken over the reins in LA. And he's got some players to work with, obviously. Landon Donovan has looked great for the national team. But the big news in LA is that Carlos Ruiz is back. The little fish has gone swimming back out to Hollywood.
Well, you talk about the LA Galaxy, and you mentioned Beckham, Landon Donovan playing well, Carlos Ruiz. So potentially firepower, but I would question, is Carlos Ruiz in shape? And is he motivated?
Always big questions. Now, there are also some questions that will come up in their defense, I'm sure.
Well, I think they're unbalanced, unproven in goal, no real solid defensive midfielder, some questions in the back. So I am worried about them defensively.
Well, there should be an announcement coming soon of a new defender coming in, Celestine Babayaro, who played under Gullit at Chelsea. His last team was Newcastle. He's a 29-year-old left-sided defender. He should definitely shore some things up. Now, the team will get a chance to see how well they can do next week when the Pan Pacific Championship starts. They'll take on Gamba Osaka, the Cup champions from Japan. And this is a chance really for them to get out there, younger players trying to make the team, the older players trying to prove to the new coach that they deserve a spot.
Yeah, Greg, I think this is a great tournament because there is some money involved, so that makes it not just another friendly and exhibition game. If the guys stay off the beach, there should be some good competition.
Well, we'll see if they stay off the beach. Now, the other match in that first round is going to be Houston against Sydney FC, probably the most celebrated team in Australia. And they will play then a third place and a final game on the 23rd. But those first games are on the 20th. It's Wednesday night. You can catch them at 11 p.m. on ESPN Classic. MLS training camps have already begun. That means wind sprints and Cooper's test for everybody. Now, that's from the players' side, but let's think about it from the coaches' side a little bit. You know, they bring them into these training camps. You have all these young players you don't really know that well. You have these experienced veterans that you do. What are the coaches looking for in these early weeks of training? Well,
Greg, you alluded to one part of it. It is all about fitness. The coaches know who their established guys are, and this preseason is just about getting fit. But for the other group of guys, young players in particular, it's all about player evaluation. By March 3rd, they have to be in compliance down to 28 on the roster. So some of the clubs have as many as 40 players there, and that's what the coaches are evaluating.
Yeah, and they're looking at the younger players, especially in terms of their mentality, their fitness, their speed, their skill. Do they see a player there, that a young role player who might be able to slot into a little hole, could be a good reserve off the bench, or a guy who you think, maybe I can develop him into something?
Well, again, it's twofold. For those young players, can they play at the next level? Can they compete physically? Can they compete with speed? Can they compete mentally? For some of the international trialists, that's what they are. They're trialists, so they're being evaluated in a very short time.
All right. Well, a lot of those teams will be traveling abroad over the next couple of weeks for preseason. Real Salt Lake is going to Argentina, New York is going to Austria, and Colorado is actually going to England to train at Arsenal's training center. But for now, they're in Los Angeles or Florida for the most part, and earlier this week, Extra Time caught up with them.
You know, it's preseason, it's early. We're about 6.5 weeks until we play our first game. So the important thing is that we're doing things for good stretches of the game. You know, I felt like our first game a couple days ago, we were very good for 22 minutes. Today, we were better for longer stretches. You know, the sharpness isn't quite there, but that's not expected as long as the ideas are there, and the rest will end up coming. We've hired a very good forward in Ivan Trujillo that we're waiting to get his work permission, and once he's in, that's going to help us, and we might end up going and hiring another forward as well.
Preseason was good. I mean, this first camp in Florida, this is our last day. I think the team's coming together. We got a lot of new faces this year. It's going to take some time, but we're getting there. I know all the Spanish-speaking guys are taking classes to learn how to speak English, which is helping, and they're coming along. It'll take a little bit of time. They're all great players, and they all know how to play the game, and I think they'll help, you know, us guys that have been here for a while also.
Well, we played the first 45 minutes with what a version of our first group right now, but we got a lot of injuries. But I thought it was okay. There were some things we need to work on, but for the most part, we moved the ball pretty well and we defended hard. So all in all, it was a decent day for us.
Still a little bit of time until our first game, but we're working hard. And you can see though that the team as a whole is improving from the first day already. 10 days we've been here, so it's nice to see. And some of the guys are really coming along. So he's doing a good job and working us very hard.
Anytime you're out on the field against another MLS team, there's competitive juices flowing, and you never want to lose. So both teams put a lot into it, and it gets a little heated sometimes, but that's the way the game goes.
Obviously these games are important. To kind of supposed to kick in your own guys for day in and day out for the entire preseason. You get to kick some other people, so you can see the emotions running high, and it's a good environment.
Well, the offseason is always a circus involving players moving here and there. Eddie Johnson left Kansas City, went to Fulham in England. Pat Noonan went to Norway. There was talk of Brad Guzan from Chivas going to Aston Villa, but that fell through with a work permit. But the biggest one of all probably is 18-year-old Jozy Altidore not leaving New York.
Yeah, Greg, absolutely right. And that one was kind of below the radar screen. Nobody saw it, but Reading came in late. They offered over $7 million for Jozy Altidore. The league wanted $10 million. I love, for the credibility of the league, number one, that they got the offer. I think Reading would be a great team for him, but I love that they turned it down. Great move by Major League Soccer.
Yeah, and honestly, $10 million might even be too little for Altidore. If he were Brazilian, it'd be $20 million, and he'd be starting at Milan right now. Now, some players have also been coming in. The big name is, of course, DUILIO Davino, who's gone to Dallas. 10-year veteran from Club America in Mexico, a Mexican international. He's come in now. This is the guy who I think might be able to shore up the Dallas defense, which has always had some problems.
Yeah, that's a great acquisition. And Davino made it no secret 2 years ago. He made it known that he wanted to come play in Colorado. Marcelo Balboa actually had talked to him about joining Colorado. So he loves Major League Soccer. He's coming with the right attitude, and he is a very good player.
Well, attitude is going to be everything. Now, DC United also, they went down to South America and came back with a whole gaggle of players. I mean, you've got a Peruvian goalkeeper who's come in, Jose Carvalho. You have Gonzalo Martinez, a Colombian with 36 caps coming in. Gonzalo Peralta, a defender from Argentina. But the big name is two-time World Cup veteran Marcelo Gallardo from Argentina, attacking midfielder. He's been with Paris Saint-Germain. He's come in for DC, replacing Christian Gomez, who we'll get to in a minute.
I'll tell you what, you look at the history of Major League Soccer, nobody has done better than DC United when it comes to the South American connection. You go back to Echeverria and all the others, but I think Gallardo is significant. I mean, at one time, he was a great player. I don't know where he's at right now. Last club, Paris Saint-Germain, really wasn't playing that much, but at the top of the game, his game, he is a great player. So I think DC United has really done well.
Well, the player he's coming in to replace is Christian Gomez, who was traded this week from DC to the Colorado Rapids for a first-round draft pick in 2009 and some future considerations. I mean, this is a huge move for Colorado. This might be the player that gets them over the top. They've always had talent. Now maybe they have someone to bring it all together.
I love when marquee players get traded among teams in Major League Soccer. We talked about Albright going to New England, but this one, Christian Gomez, I mean, fantastic. The schemer, the catalyst in the midfield. If you have Mastroeni playing well as a defensive player and Christian Gomez tucked in behind whoever's up front, this could be huge for Colorado.
It really could. It also puts some pressure on Colorado. They have to start winning. They have that new stadium. You know, they haven't had a winning record in the last 3 years. Fernando Clavijo really has to get this team going, and he went out and he got, this is the biggest acquisition of his coaching career, I'd say. You mentioned a minute ago, Chris Albright also moving from Los Angeles to New England, shoring up a sort of leaky defense back there. But, you know, lots of moves going on. It's great for the league. Well, that is all the time we have here on MLSnet.com's Extra Time. But if you have a comment, feel free to email us at extratime@MLSnet.com. We'll be here next week. We'll also be here all through the offseason, so join us and kick it around.